wakes up in a horrifying place without any memories or his skin. He is in pain and agony, and the first thing that he remembers is opening his eyes, screaming in pain as he notices he doesn't have any skin. He walks around with the hot drift in the air burning his body. A short walk away, he finds a big demon standing idly. As he approaches the demon, it ridicules the flayed man, asking why he doesn't speak, as if Cat has cut his tongue. To his surprise, he learns that the man without the skin has actually no tongue. The demon continues that he knows the man doesn't have any thoughts, being completely clueless to what has happened to him and what he is doing here. He hesitates to tell him anything, telling him to find his tongue first. It seems clear that the flayed man is a punished soul who seems to be in the depths of hell, suffering for his deeds in the mortal world that he called Earth. He has been stripped of his thoughts, his past deeds, his speech, and even his skin. While in pain, this man is curious to find out who he is and what he is doing here. The man gets inside the house, deep in thoughts of who he could be. The house is in ruins and awfully blending in with the surrounding area, being extremely unwelcoming. As he enters, he finds a confessional booth. Surprised, he questions what would a confessional booth do in a place like this. If anything, it belongs in a holy place like a church, not a place like this. Exploring the house, he goes to the bathroom where he finds a book called The 3 Purifications. The book details 3 ways where an unholy man's sins can be purified. This is a grim book of religious punishment where the man accused and convicted of sins is to die 3 different horrible deaths. One method is killing through drowning, another through stoning, and the final one through losing air in the lungs. The flayed man goes back to the demon, giving it a whip, who in return gives the man a tongue, allowing him to speak. As the man tries to scream, asking who he is, the demon stops him, telling him he needs to go to the confessional booth and judge a soul by his deeds and sins. The flayed man, who is in agony by every step that he takes, has no other choice as this demon seems to be able to help him and decide his fate. The demon itself seems to be in agony and pain, with its stomach having entities crawling around, wiggling, while it weeps a green liquid. As the flayed man goes to the confessional booth, a man named August weeps and cries in shame and regret for something horrible that he has done. The flayed man is not interested and cries for help himself. But the man who is here to confess doesn't believe him and thinks that he is mocking him. August believes the flayed man is some sort of holy person who is here to listen to his confessions. The 2 men cannot see each other as their line of sight is blocked in the confessional. August then unveils what his unforgivable sin is and the crime that he has committed against humanity. He reveals that he simply stole an apple from a fruit market. The flayed man, listening to this ridiculous confession, holds himself back from laughing. Here, he has the choice to judge the person based on the deed. Will the flayed man forgive him? Will he laugh it off and say how ridiculous he doesn't deserve any punishment? Or will he be stern and scold the man, telling him that he cannot be forgiven as he couldn't hold himself from the sin? He wouldn't have it in him to stop himself from grander and greater sins if he has stolen an apple, giving in to his temptations. Hence, the man cannot be forgiven and must be punished. It is up to us as the player to choose the outcome for August for simply stealing an apple. After passing a judgment on August, the flayed man goes back to the demon with a lot of questions. No matter what question he asks of the demon, he responds back in mystery and makes the protagonist even more confused. When he asks him who he is and if he is responsible for the man to be as such, the demon simply responds that he is an observer and the flayed man is responsible for the situation that he is in now. This place is a place for judgment and condemnation, or in other words, being hell. Getting no clear answer from the observing demon, the flayed man, who is in such agony, goes back to the house where he finds another book. It is about the victims of a person who would punish them using the smallest excuse possible. It could be, possibly, a teacher. The person punishing these victims would call it discipline, but the look in his eyes clearly showed that they get some sort of sick pleasure from it. The worst punishments had to be endured by someone called Liam, and the others were thankful deep down that it wasn't them getting those punishments. Soon after, someone else by the name of Edgar is found in the confessional. Edgar explains that he has struggled with alcohol all his life. He became an alcoholic when he joined the Navy. At first it was a warm touch which took his concerns and bad thoughts away. but eventually it took his kindness away. It was something he was ashamed of and didn't like anyone shaming him for. The dark truth is, despite how it impacted him, he still liked getting drunk. This poison, or as he calls it, devil in the bottle, slowly made him become a cruel man. Edgar also had a cat called Pluto. He found Pluto on the streets and had adopted him. A cat who was intelligent and clearly loved Edgar more than anyone he ever had in his life before Pluto. As time passes and Edgar picks up on his alcoholism, he feels as if he is being judged, especially by Pluto, who cares deeply about him. One day, being heavily drunk, he comes home to see Pluto just staring at him with his big cat eyes. This makes Edgar become enraged with guilt and shame, who does something unthinkable. He uses a knife and takes the cat's eyes out. Despite feeling horrible, especially as he explains he is an animal lover and always connected with them, Edgar continues drinking and being horrible to the cat. Regardless to what Edgar does to the cat, something so horrible, the cat still snuggles up to him and gets close to the useless alcoholic. One day, when Edgar is blackout drunk, with the blinded Pluto snuggling up next to him, he locks Pluto in the fridge, which leads to him freezing to death. A cat who trusted Edgar and loved him, just to be treated as such and betrayed. Edgar explains when he was young, he thought of the world in a different way, that his future would be bright and happy. But now, it is dark and gloomy. That is why he relied on alcohol, which ended up making him so cruel to animals. Edgar blames alcohol for his actions, and the Flayed man will be the one to judge him. Here, we can judge Edgar whether to be forgiven or punished for his cruel sins. After that, the Flayed man goes to the courtyard, where he sees the demon absent, with a tombstone standing in his place. The tombstone reads Liam Mallory, possibly the same child that suffered under the hands of a sadistic adult. The Flayed man uses a shovel to dig up the grave, where he finds a badly mauled and injured child with broken bones and bruises. It becomes clear it is the child in the book who was getting the worst punishments from a sadistic person, maybe a teacher or a parent. Poor Liam ended up losing his life in pain and torment from the undeserved punishments. The Flayed man is horrified and disgusted by the sight, and whoever that could be capable of doing that. That's when all of a sudden the demon appears behind the Flayed man and tells him it is time to judge another soul. It's unclear if the demon is the embodiment of the adult that punished Liam alongside other kids, but for now, the Flayed man has no other choice but to go to the confessional for one final time. The sinner is called Belle, who strangled a boy who was only 3 years old. She explains that she was young and was angry at the cruelties of her mother, hence why she wanted to destroy something innocent. This 3-year-old boy seems to have been her brother, called Petey, the poor collateral, just for her anger. She went to prison for 13 years as a consequence, but ever since her sin, she never forgave herself. Till her death, she never married or dated anyone, so she dedicated her life rescuing animals and helping injured animals as some sort of atonement. It is now up to the Flayed man to decide the fate of the sinner. If the Flayed man decides to punish all or any of the sinners for what they had done, the demon in the courtyard will grab him and place him inside his belly, which is full of suffering souls. These souls in pain and agony, wiggling around, hold on tight to the Flayed man who take his life in a horrifying way. The demon reveals the Flayed man is the same as he was before in his life, as cruel and merciless as now, not being able to forgive. Therefore, the 3 sinners in the confessional were his test. That explains what the confessional was doing in the house. The man was cleared of all his past memories to test his soul and if he is merciful now or not, or just as cruel as before. If he decides to punish the sinners, his soul will be damned for eternity. If the protagonist decides to forgive the sinners for what they have done, they suffer greatly and are remorseful for. The demon opens a door to the cosmos for the Flayed man. He explains this is oblivion, but a remedy for the man's pain and misery. He has come from dust, and to dust he will return. He will return to the source, to the cosmos and the heavens. He will be stardust, broken into elements, joining where he came from. This would effectively end his life, and he will be gone into non-existence. No thoughts any longer, no pain, and nothing to feel bad or good about. On the other hand, if the Flayed man refuses to join the cosmos, demanding to have life, the demon does as he wishes, but he will suffer the consequences of the first ending. He will suffer for eternity, trapped in the belly of the demon. This reveals the only redemption the Flayed man can experience is losing his life and becoming dust in the cosmos. That is the only true redemption that he can have. He has clearly sinned and his sins are unforgivable. Despite that, the demon offers the sinful soul redemption by removing him from existence. But if the sinner is greedy, he will have to suffer for his deeds, as life is not a right in this world, but it is a privilege. And if with the privilege given, it is wasted and misused, they will have to answer for their sins. So it is possible the other sinners in the confessional were also sent to the oblivion to become pure dust, just to be reformed to other souls, as when the Flayed man passes their judgment, they simply reply by hoping their victims are in a better place, not about what will come of themselves, as they are suffering themselves with guilt and remorse, and are willing to suffer for eternity and die. Learning the Flayed man was someone merciless, it becomes clear it was the adult who punished and tortured children. His role of going to the confessional also unveils he was some sort of a priest or man working in the church who was very harsh to children. The child called Liam that he digs the grave of unveils to be the fruit of his own actions. He was the one who punished Liam so harshly to the point that he died. The demon tests the Flayed man's soul based on his judgment on the sinners in the confessional. If he judges them harshly, he will receive similar punishment as he was the worst of the sinners, and if in his own eyes those sinners deserve such punishment, he deserves it too. The demon, despite being so horrifying, offers the Flayed man redemption and freedom by becoming nothing and joining oblivion, with no thoughts anymore, being purified as his soul is heavy in sin. But if the Flayed man demands life, he will surely have it, but he will suffer for eternity for his unspeakable acts. He might have had a similar job in the church as well, judging people mercilessly. And on that note, this brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host Star, thanks for being here, and I will see you on the next one.